Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us back on Building Great Sales Teams. And I've got an awesome one for you today. This is somebody that I look up to, at least physically for sure, and as a real estate investor. This is Travis Wells. He's an oil and gas VP, real estate broker and investor, and a plant-based nutrition coach. I've got a ton of questions, but first off, welcome to the show, Travis.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I know last time we were going to connect didn't work out, so I'm glad we got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Been looking forward to getting you on the show. But first off, let's go over the elephant in the room here. Travis Wells, and you work in oil and gas. How does that go over out in the field?
Dude, it works out pretty good. Everybody's always like, "Oh, you work in oil and gas and wells and wells. Oh, it's perfect." Yeah.
So you just got back from a PJ trip with Stuman and the gang. Was that your first one?
Yeah, man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
We had a good time. Went to Salt Lake City. Got to mastermind on the plane with Stuman and a bunch of great folks. And I'll definitely be doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a few of them, right? And the first one I went on was easily the most impactful. That's when I decided I was going to become a consultant, right? But I've seen some of them, and you see who's like what the event is and who's around, and you guys freaking lucked out at this one. Y'all had a private event at what was his name? Is it the Machine? What's his name?
The Muscle.
The Muscle.
Yeah.
There you go. What was that like? That the pictures looked amazing.
Dude, it was awesome. So yeah, we did luck out. So the event was amazing. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to just sit in those things, usually, but man, the whole time, I'm not just saying this, I was like on the edge of my seat because you had Rob Bailey. He's already like high energy and he's hosting this thing. And then there was a event the night before that we flew into, and there was a bunch of like Flex Lewis was there, and there was a bunch of big names there. Like I was like a little kid, right?
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And then there was another event, Ed Milet and some other people were there. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy seeing those pictures. And I think Sean Whalen was out there in the backyard and near the fire pit and everything.
Yeah.
Kenny Baden went with you guys. That's my boy right there. Ever since he came in, Ryan tossed him over to me and was like, "Hey, Kenny wants to do some stuff in solar. Talk to him." And me and him just clicked after that. So, but anyways, no, it looked great, man. Did you ever think that someday you were going to be jumping in a private jet and masterminding with millionaires and then showing up at the the Muscles house and beautiful house overlooking, I'm sure, the whole city?
Heck no, man. I kind of had talked myself into doing it, to be honest with you, because I saw the opportunity and I was like, something was just nudging me to do it. And I said, screw it. Cause it's not cheap to do that stuff,
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm already kind of liking what I'm doing. Like, cool, whatever. And then something kept nudging me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. Screw it. And dude, it was like one of the best things I did, really.
I know that he goes to Coaching Con every year too. Are you gonna go to Coaching Con? Are you gonna jump on that PJ trip?
I know that I don't know if I'm going on that one, but I think in March, whenever they go, if that's the one, I'm not sure. In March, I'm gonna jump on one with them for sure.
Gotcha.
February is kind of slammed. It's a lot of energy, right? To do that for the whole like 3 days, like
you're wiped after.
It took me like 3 days to recharge.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but they're a lot of fun, and I think they stretch your imagination a little bit into what's possible. Or maybe you've known it the whole time, just seeing it again kind of reaffirms kind of what you're after, And so those were all, at the end of the day, they're all high-level coaches, right? Yep. And so I imagine that was pretty eye-opening for you.
Well, it's cool because you see this stuff all the time. You open your social media, you see like positive quotes, you see people saying this and that. But when you see it at that caliber, and like it's just a whole different ball game, and then you sit down and talk with these folks.
Yeah.
They're living it, and it's not as hard as you think it is, right? Because they're like, man, it's just like just do it, right? Just do it.
Mhm.
So it's just cool. Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool just to subject yourself to, just to keep your
Yeah.
mind right, really.
Mhm. Well, I think we put these people on a pedestal and think, oh, they're super smart, genius, talented, all this stuff, and then you show up and you have a conversation with them, and they're like, no, I just got up every day, did the same damn thing, and did it consistently for 10 years, and here I am.
Yep.
It's like, oh shit, like that makes sense. You know what I mean? When was the last time I did anything consistently for 10 days? You know what I mean? And so coming from, where I did, discipline wasn't part of my daily routine. I imagine for you it is, you know what I'm saying, being a competitor in bodybuilding or men's fitness, that's going to be obviously a big part of what you do. You're probably a disciplined dude. And so the fact that you weren't crazy about spending that kind of money, you know what I mean, alludes to that. It's like, hey, I need to be a good steward of this money, right? And that's probably why you're in real estate, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. And another reason I wanted to go to that event is I have a local mastermind in San
Hmm.
Antonio with some really successful dudes, and I love it. We get a lot out of it. Um, but I've never joined anything uh, like Stuman has, like Apex and stuff. And I was sold because of the process and the machine and doing all that stuff. But I said,
Hmm.
man, I want to go on this trip and see what it's all about at a higher level, and kind of
Yeah.
see like if there's any other groups or anything else I need to be doing. So that's what I really
Hmm.
did.
Absolutely. So when did your, I guess, development journey begin? Because that's why I wanted to have you on. I recognize that you were someone that is deep in that right now. And, always relating back to building great sales teams, that's a big part of it is great leaders build great teams. So what got you into that development journey? When did you just say, hey, there's something more that I need to do here?
Yeah. So most people that do well or on their way to doing well or successful, whatever, have some sort of story. I have mine as well. We could go on forever about that, but to condense it, moved from North Carolina to Texas when I was a kid because my dad went to prison. Saw my mom hustling, so she was doing banking, mortgage. So I was always surrounded around those kind of numbers, learning that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Fast forward, had a bad accident while I was doing construction. Party days, decided I probably shouldn't be partying that much anymore. I needed to focus. Got kicked
Hmm.
out of college, sucked at that, just hated school. Ended up in the oil and gas industry. I was driving a truck, uh, and what I really liked about it was they were like, "Hey, man, you can work as many hours as you want. So there's no like, as long as you could
Yeah.
stay awake and work, you can make as much money as you want." I'm like, I'm there, right? Um, so doing that, I just kept evolving. I was like, well, how do I get better? Well, how do I get from driving trucks to doing better? And then I worked my way up to to their engineering school, did that. I was an
Hmm.
explosives engineer. And then I'm the vice president of that company now. But that whole time, I was buying real estate because I didn't know what to do with the money that I was
Hmm.
making. It was good money,
Right.
right? So I was just like, I'll buy real estate, and ended up getting my license while I was in the field, my real estate license and broker's license a couple years ago. So yeah, man, I guess my development journey started, I would say, probably like 12 years ago. I was like, man, I got to work on me to
Hmm.
become the better version of me.
Hmm.
And you just meet those folks that inspire you along the way. And uh every person I've ever met that was a mentor, I ended up working up to their level, I feel, right? And then I'd
Hmm.
have to reach and find somebody that was another mentor that was at another level. And I
Yeah.
think that's really what it's about, right? These levels, these types of people you gotta be to be that next type of person.
Hmm. 100%.
Yeah.
So, when I did my first 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, the first thought in my head wasn't, oh, I am making this kind of money, I need to invest it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So was there someone that kind of steered you in that direction, in the right direction? I know you had the accident young. So that kind of like whipped you into shape a little bit. For me, it was my divorce that whipped me into shape, right?
Yeah.
And so what was that kind of catalyst that said, hey, you need to do something smart with this?
I've never been really a material person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I own like 2 pairs of shoes, the same shirts. Like, I'm an executive in oil and gas, and my uh, CEO is like, bro, maybe you should like get some like suit or something nice. Can we come? I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like it. We're cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's just because I didn't really want the material things. I just had like an internal drive to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just chasing more and more, like, everybody's got a drive to do for whatever reason. Mine was really so I don't have to worry, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're working your butt in the ground. You're like, man, like, what if something unforeseen were to happen one day? Like, how could I get residual income? There's a million ways, right? There's so many. Well, the way I grew up, my granddad was a like old school landlord, like spoke like several languages and like rode around a beat up car, so nobody knew he was like collecting
Nice.
rent, and so I
Yeah.
was subjected to that at an early age. I think that was like a subconscious seed in my head. I was like, man, this dude's like collecting cash for these like little houses,
Yeah.
and then boom, as soon as I started making like any kind of money, I was like, man, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have those houses. That way I could get cash,
100%.
full disclosure, that's not as easy as it sounds. Like everybody's like, "Oh, buy real
I'll
estate, I'm gonna be
just go into
rich."
real estate. Yeah.
Like, no.
Well, I think like now it's Airbnbs, right? 10 years ago it was flips, you know what I mean? And now in our circles it's more like, okay, how many doors do you have? Apartment complexes or fourplexes, or what I mean, these townhome communities, some of or one of the real estate syndications I'm in is a massive like townhome community, which is kind of like a hybrid between apartments and houses, right? And so but again, I'm not the expert in that. And so I'm just giving them the cash to fund it, and then, get my check every quarter. And I'm happy as hell doing that. Whereas like last year, I was new to the investment game, and I was like, trying all this different stuff out. And I learned real quick. I mean, for me, it's in real estate because it's passive. Everything else was like, you got to do this, you got to do that, or you got to educate yourself, and you got to like day trade or trade monthly or something like that. And I'm just like, man, I get so deep in with my clients, nothing else really matters. You know what I mean? So the idea that I'm going to juggle all these investments is just ridiculous. So
No, I definitely feel you, man. Yeah, it was funny you said the number of doors, because when I came into our circle, I was like, man, I got a lot of real estate. And they're like, how much you got? I was like, I got 60 doors. And they're like, okay, like these dudes got like 2,000. I was like, oh God.
dude, you were on a plane with Brandon Brittingham.
Yeah, I was like, I got a lot of doors, and he's just like, bro. But we hit it off. Me and him hit it off good. So he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So
His syndication is one of the ones I'm in, and dude has not missed a check, and he's over delivered the whole way. It's been awesome. So no, I definitely recommend his fund. I think it's MD&E fund or something like that. Yeah.
I learned a lot in a very short time with that dude on that plane, and while we were there. I was like, man, I've never wanted to do a syndication of my own, because I'm good at finding deals, right? But I was like, I don't want to have all these bosses, like people that I can answer to. He's like, bro, what do you got to answer to anybody for if you're paying them checks when they're due? And I'm like, I guess you got a point,
Well, and also like, I mean, he may have said this, but you can pick who you do business with. You know what I mean? Like I literally have talked to Brandon once about it. And it was me thanking him for the check that I got, because I got it the day before I went to a fly-in Friday, and he was there. Yeah. And I was like, hey, thanks for the check, man. That was it. That's all he got from me. You know what I'm saying? So you choose who you do business with, and then you don't have bosses, you have investors, and then ones that have tempered expectations, or savvy, which I'm not one of those, but I'm around enough of them to understand, like, all right, this thing's gonna have ups and downs, but overall, he's bringing 12 to 13% annually, and that's all I can ask for.
Yeah.
What else can you ask for?
Yeah.
And so,
especially passive. I mean,
yeah, completely. So no, 100%. Okay. So you're one of the most ripped motherfuckers I know. Okay. And you're doing it plant-based, or you're coaching plant-based. I'm assuming you're doing it plant-based too.
Yeah.
I went plant-based for 6 months. I don't understand. How are you getting enough protein to sustain, especially at the, like with the workouts you're doing and everything?
Yeah, man. So when I first went plant based, dude, I was 130 pounds. I was like eating lettuce, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
when I set my mind to something, and I know a lot of people can relate that are in our circles because you're just like tunnel vision. I was like, I'm going plant based. That was it. It's like next day, and just dropped like all kinds of weight. I got pictures I got to send you one day, but I was like
Mm-hmm.
skinny as crap. I ended up hiring the first IFBB Pro or whatever, that was vegan. I
Okay.
got in his group and he trained us all how to build muscle on a vegan diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it's easy, but that's because I've been doing it forever. So it's not. If you don't know and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna eat like veggies, it don't work.
Yeah.
Like my macros are like 600 carbs, like 300 grams of protein. Like
That was my thing. I had to eat so many carbs to get protein. It was insane. I was just like, I feel so bloated. You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead, educate us on that.
So when people go plant based from being non plant based, it's like when you change any diet, you're going to be kind of like if there's a transition period. But after that transition, it shouldn't be very long. But after that, that's with any diet change. After that transition period, if you're getting like too much fiber too, right?
Yeah.
Which beans, like all the veggies, all that, they all have fiber, which you need a lot of fiber. But if you're like overdoing it for your body, you'd be bloated, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's got this, I always call it like gym gimmicks because it's always like, oh, eat this or
Yeah.
do this and you're going to be ripped.
Yeah.
We're all different. Like
Yeah.
you probably know people that don't have to do anything and they're just ripped, or they can eat their don't. We're all different.
Well,
So
I've got some of those genetics, right? I've always had large shoulders. You know what I mean? I've always had kind of a broad, up here it's always looked good. It's down here is like shows my eating habits, So
yeah, yeah,
but I've always been like a stockier dude. And I've always
yeah,
appreciated that about my genetics that, I didn't, even though I wasn't working out for maybe like 6 months at a time, I didn't lose it.
yeah.
So I definitely recognize that for sure.
Yeah, and it's just to be at a certain level, it's eating the same things every day once you figure out your body, right? So like
Hmm.
on a plant-based diet, my meals are like I might eat like 7 meals a day, and they're big meals. And it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, like big because I'm eating 4,500 calories a day, you
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So lentil pasta, lentils, any kind of bean you could think of, two veggies with every meal, tofu and tempeh. That's my
That's it.
jam. That's it. That's what I
Yeah.
eat every single day. They do not vary, do not change. When we went to dinner that night, I ordered a
Mhm.
salad just so I could be social, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's weighed and measured, man, calculated.
Gotcha. So like you ate before and then you ate after type deal.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
ate like 1,200 calories before, and then when I got
Yeah.
home, I ate again. But if you go to a social setting, you want to just sit there and look at everybody. So
Hmm.
just eat. I'll grab a salad, and maybe just
Yeah.
get some lettuce or something while I'm there, so I look like I'm socializing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's probably my last frontier to conquer is my diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I'm just such a, and I know everybody says this, right? But like, I am a foodie. I love traveling because I get to try
yeah,
different cuisines, different cities, and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the things I recognized is, all right, I have some deficiencies in these areas of discipline, whether it's getting up early, working out daily, running is another one, cardio, right? And then diet. And that's kind of like my last frontier. I feel like I'm conquering the other three for the most part, but the diet is my last frontier. So what advice do you have to guys like me that, you know, we don't look overweight, you know what I'm saying? Like we have a good build, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And we kind of have that like, you know, it, yeah, I'm just flat, right? It's not, and so like we can still get away with looking good, but it's like if we really want to go further with it, you know what I'm saying? We got to dial that stuff in, right?
yeah. So, man, what I always try to do with clients is I believe in intuitive eating, but you have to count macros to get to that level, in my opinion. Right? I've talked to a lot of intuitive eating coaches and stuff like that, and they're like, "No, you just eat intuitive." I
Well,
agree, but you don't know how
break
to
that
be.
down for us. I don't know what intuitive eating is.
Sorry, intuitive eating is, say that when you're hungry, you eat.
Okay.
Right? So you eat when you're hungry and you don't worry about counting, you don't worry about tracking. That looks different for everybody,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, intuitively, when you're going down the grocery store aisle, like there's cookies, there's chips, there's this or that. So, like, to
You have
me,
to have some insane discipline.
yeah, like
Yeah.
to me, you got to build the discipline before you can stop measuring, counting, and tracking.
To where it's an established habit, and now it's just how you do things, how you
Right,
live,
and
right?
yeah, and your body, your taste buds, everything transform. Like, so right now, there's certain foods everybody likes. You crave, you like, you'll eat right now. It's gonna be bomb. But like you find what foods work with your body and like give you good energy, good clarity, all the stuff, and you eat that for a few months. You're gonna start like craving those foods. It sounds dumb. You're like, I ain't gonna crave like,
Oh, it makes sense.
yeah,
It makes a lot of sense. It's the same way when you start working out every morning
yeah,
and your body wakes you up on its own. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or like you feel sluggish all day because you didn't work out that morning, and you just
yeah,
miss that like resistance. You know what I'm saying? Like you're craving it. No, 100%. It makes total sense. I know one of my friends. He's Adam Lyons' trainer,
yeah.
Linnell Beckles. And so what he does with his clients is they do a microbiome test of the gut or something like that. And that kind of tells them, okay, what food is good for your body versus just prescribing this, basic nutrition plan. And so I've kind of got some, not insight, but exposure to the fact that there is no templated nutrition plan, or it's not really low carb for everybody, or plant based for everybody. You know what I mean? Like you've got to do that research on your own body, right?
Yeah, like that's what I was trying to say earlier. It's so important that you said that, is like
Mm-hmm.
we're all different. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just go like this is how it is. That's not accurate.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. And then also people hate the word in the fitness industry, cheat meals,
Hmm.
refeed meals, whatever you want to call them. Call it
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in having a couple of them a week. Like eat what you want, like twice a week for 2 meals. If you're
Yeah.
if you're hitting your macros like 100%, like
Uh huh.
it's not gonna hurt you, and it's good for your like your mental health and everything. Go out, eat whatever the heck, have a great meal.
Hey, if The Rock does it, then I should be able to do it, right?
But he does it. And he does it because he's 100, right? He's 100
Yeah.
all the time. He knows, and
Yeah.
like people at his level, they know like this ain't gonna hurt me. It's only gonna help me, really.
Yeah. It's kind of stretching what your body will process, and you know what I mean? Stretching. I don't know. It's just that's how it looks to me. Like you're breaking down the body a little bit to make it come back stronger,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I eat those types of things or whatever the case is. It's always so fun to watch his videos and stuff like that. Dude's an entertainer.
I've got a client that's been with me for a while, and
Mhm.
people are like, "How does he eat the same thing?" This dude stays at like 8% body fat. He doesn't track his macros, and he didn't start that way. But we
Mhm.
figured out a meal that he could eat all the time, and he does not care. He always just eats that meal. It's like I think it's like his is like lentils. He wasn't vegan or anything before.
Yeah.
Lentils, tofu, broccoli, and like
Mhm.
2 cups of spinach. And he
Mhm.
makes like this Tupperware for like the weeks. He's a super busy dude,
Yeah.
and that's all he eats with like 2 shakes. And the dude just stays ripped. He doesn't think about his food, so he loves it.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'd like to get to, but I've got to invest in, you know what I mean, one of the things I've been looking at is like the icon meals and stuff like that, because I think if I spend money on it, then I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Versus I'm getting to the office at, 8 o'clock or something like that, and I haven't eaten breakfast yet, and work starts, and all of a sudden it's 11:30, and I'm starving, and there I go to DoorDash. You know what I mean? And probably eating something that's just not good for me. What does a cheat meal look like for you, being plant based?
you'd trip out if you saw how much it was, but it's usually like a double meat vegan burger, or
Okay.
like huge thing of fries with like vegan asada and cheese all over it, vegan cheese, and a stack of pancakes. That's
Uh-huh.
usually my whole cheat meal.
No, that's fantastic. That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
I've had some damn good vegetarian burgers.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I've ordered some from certain places. I can't remember. There's a place here in San Antonio off St. Mary's. It's a burger joint. I can't remember the name of it, but they have a badass vegetarian burger. Like it's delicious, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
That's cool.
So obviously, this is just kind of a natural progression that typically happens, right? You start working out, you get that discipline, you get crazy rib, you start competing, and then all of a sudden you're coaching, but I've seen it happen from a place of need, right? So you're in the oil and gas industry, you know what I mean? You have 60 doors in real estate, you know what I'm saying? Like this is not coming from a place of the need of money, you know what I
Right.
mean? So why coaching? What inspired that?
So at some point, I say you in general,
Mhm.
um, I kind of want to give back, right? Because I've had a lot of good mentors, I've hired a lot of good coaches,
Mhm.
and fitness is like, it's like with anything. Once you get good at something or you keep getting better at something, it's easy for you, right? So
Mhm.
like I want to break these things down for folks easily and help them achieve these things. Cause like there's nobody that I know that if you asked would say they didn't want to be ripped, right? Nobody. I can't think of anybody. And
Fair.
right. So and I get DMs all the time before I started coaching. I was always just giving advice. Nobody'd ever follow it. And I was like,
Mhm.
well, you know what? I better, like you said earlier, well, maybe if they pay for it, they'll listen.
Yeah.
And so I was like charging like $300. I was like, what do I charge? $300.
Yeah.
And then so people, oh, I'm your client, this and that, never listen. So then I was like, man, what price point do I got to be at for people to
To
listen?
listen,
Yeah.
use it.
And it
Yeah.
was like $1,400, like for real. Well,
Uh-huh.
then I was like, wow, like people are listening because they're like investing. They're literally investing in themselves. And that's when I
Mhm.
started seeing like results. So yeah, it's not money based, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
how can I get like the most optimal result out of people, like
Uh-huh.
instead of wasting my energy?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you already having the income that you have, the investments that you have and everything, it's like you spend that time with someone. I mean, that's, $500,000 an hour that you're spending with them and they're, paying you $300 and then not doing what you tell them
Yeah.
to do on top of
Yeah.
that.
It's like
So that's gotta be pretty tough.
yeah, you prepare all this stuff and it's like, well, I just couldn't because of this and I couldn't.
Mhm.
I'm like, nah, like I can't do that, you know?
Okay.
Excuses like just don't fly in my head.
100%. So a lot of leaders in different industries, home services, sales, whatever the case is, this is their next step to hire a coach or just to start working out. What are some of the pitfalls they need to look for when hiring a coach? So maybe some terminology that they're using or something like that, and in your head, you're like, oh, not this crap again.
The biggest like cardinal sin in coaching to me is you know everything. Like if there is a coach that I talk to, because I have a coach, he has a coach. Everybody I know got coaches, right?
Mhm.
And that's serious that want to get better because you can't get better on your own looking at your self reflection. Like you could tell yourself that, but it ain't how it
Yeah.
works. Somebody that knows everything, man. Like it's like the biggest turn off of the coach. Like, oh yeah, this is how it is. This is this. There's nothing. I'm like, done. I ain't doing that. I want
Yeah.
somebody to be like, man, this is where I've been. I've screwed up a ton, but like, look where I'm at, and I can get
Mhm.
you to where I'm at, but I can't get you further. Are you cool with that? I'm like, I like where you're at, so let me get there.
100%. Yeah, I like having abs, so
Yeah.
get me the abs and then we'll talk about the next level, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're like Travis, I want to go win Olympia. I'm like, bro, I can't help you, but
Yeah,
like, I could get you competing and to
yeah.
be, like we get something like that.
So what's that? Are you competing right now? Do you plan on competing in the future? I saw some medals, you know what I'm saying? So obviously you've been successful with it. Is this a lifestyle for you now? Or was it more just go and accomplish it and then you're moving on to the next thing?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep competing. It's kind of the way I'm wired is I love discipline, man. I love the structure. So like
Hmm.
I can't slip. Like when you're competing, you can't slip, or you just get left behind.
It's
So
real.
I've been competing, like I've been competitive for 2 years. I mean, I've been working out my whole life, but I've been competitive for 2 years. And this last competition, Ronnie Coleman, I won one division, my division, and I placed second in two of them. And I
Nice.
was like 5% body fat, just shredded.
Exhausted.
Yeah, like it was crazy, right? So it was cool. I met Ronnie Coleman. He's dope. It was a cool experience. Worked my butt off. Got what I wanted. So now I'm gonna go to nationals. I've been bulking for crap, like 7 months, just pounding calories, dude. So like, I
Yeah,
mean,
I saw your competition pictures, and then I obviously saw you in person at dinner that night, and I'm like, a lot bigger than I thought he was.
yeah, dude, I've gained almost 30 pounds
Wow,
since competition. So we're, hope if I'm lucky, I'll just have to shred down like 13 to 15 of those.
that's
And,
crazy to me. That's
yeah.
crazy. But that's like a healthy. That's a healthy 30 pounds. And then when you shred the 15, that's not necessarily healthy, but it's good for competition.
Right. Yeah, it's not the yo-yo's not like it's not the healthiest thing for your body. Right. But I am eating all whole food, plant-based, like clean, and I'm not
Mhm.
doing any drastic moves. It's like 200 fat. Well, it is for most people, like 250
Yeah,
calories, like every week or two I'll add. It's just freaking veggies and beans, really, dude.
that's
Nothing
crazy.
fancy. Yeah, just load it up.
So a lot of the reason that people don't switch to diets like that or a diet that's good for them is the time constraint, meal prep, the money, right? But more than anything, it always seems like it comes down to time. Like they use convenience, like I am, right?
Yeah.
So that hurts them. But and then you've got, I gotta imagine VP of an oil and gas company that's demanding, and then your professional athletes that's demanding. You know what I'm saying? And then you've got clients that are spending four figures to coach with you. Is that monthly or annually, or how does that part work?
No, I've got a 3-month program I put them on. I figured out that so I had it month to month, and it's too easy for them just to say I'm not interested anymore. So then I lock them in to like 3 or 4 months.
So you can get a transformation out of
Yeah.
them.
I'm like,
Yeah, I
hey,
love that.
you're paying up front. You have to do this, or you're gonna lose your money.
Yeah,
It's just all
absolutely.
been like a trial, to just
Nice.
see how I could create the best person, you know.
So my question in all this is all these things require some serious time, some serious discipline. How are you dealing with the time constraints as well as on top of that the mental because you're competing at a high level, whether it's in bodybuilding or it's in as a coach or oil and gas. You know what I mean? I got to imagine that's a high pressure position. So how are you maintaining in terms of your time and then your mental health?
Yeah, man. So I get up super early, like probably like 5 a.m. and straight to the gym when I work out. That blows the steam off. That gets what I need to do done for my bodybuilding, right?
Hmm.
And then right after that, it's a lot of mental stuff like meditating, working on myself, probably till like 9:30, that kind of stuff. So it's all me for like 4 hours to 4.5 hours. It's like my self development time.
Hmm.
And then after that, it's just straight like oil and gas. Like it's super high demand for, I don't know, most of the day.
Hmm.
And then I'll get to my fitness client stuff. I'll get to my real estate stuff. Real estate's all rentals. I do have a broker's license, so I do have a lot of clients there also, like
Hmm.
commercial clients, land clients. Um, I,
Beautiful.
yeah, I've got residential clients, and then I've got a executive assistant. She does a lot too, and then a
Hmm.
couple boots on the ground and some contracting teams that work on all my projects. But I don't have any like I wish I had like a good answer for you, but I just stay super like structured, right? The day before, I'm
Hmm.
like, this is my list of like stuff that needs to be done. This is what has to be done. This is what, and no matter
Hmm.
what, don't get stressed because you're not gonna sleep well that night. Then you're gonna suck the next day.
Hmm.
Like go get them, Tiger, right? Like
Yeah. So, at 60 doors, I wouldn't say it's passive,
yeah,
but the real estate, is probably the least workload of those, right?
yeah.
So if you had to choose tomorrow, you know, coach or real estate, VP, what are you choosing?
Man, it'd be real estate.
Or I'm sorry,
So
real estate, oil and gas. Sorry, oil and
yeah,
gas VP.
yeah, it'd be real estate. I enjoy oil and gas. I've done it since like I said, I
Hmm.
came up driving trucks, sweeping shops. Like I've done every job at the company that I work for, and
Hmm.
they've become like my family, like the people that own it. So like if they weren't involved anymore, I'd be pieced out, right? Like in a heartbeat. But I really enjoy working with them, building with them, and like it's been cool because we've grown so much since I started there like 12 years ago.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you guys want to know how to keep top performers like Travis. I mean, he just said it right there. He grew with the company. They obviously have an amazing culture. He doesn't have to keep doing oil and gas. I mean, he can scale real estate, can scale coaching, scale those things, but he stays there because the people, you know what I'm saying? And I get that question all the time. How do you get top guys? Well, you don't get them. You recruit them and then you train them and then you build them up and you develop them and then they become top guys,
exactly.
this whole idea that we could just go out and recruit top people. Yeah. In operations, sure. COOs, CFOs, those types. Absolutely. I'm not going to build up a CFO, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, but I
yeah,
am going to build up a CSO or a CMO. Right. And so, I just wanted to make that point real quick because, I get that question a lot. So what's next for you, brother? I mean, where do you see the happening in the next 10 years?
Well, real quick, just to go back to your next deal, and then I'll jump forward
Sure.
again. You hit a very important point on the head with what you said. Um, I think some of the best employees, like top performers you get, don't necessarily have to work for you, right? Like, so I'm gonna explain myself. So, and I've told the people that are my bosses that are on the
Mhm.
company, I'm like, I feel like I'm a great asset because I don't need to be here. And so I'm not like trying to drain you for a paycheck. I'm
Oh,
constantly trying
absolutely.
I'm trying to give as much value as I possibly can because I want to be here. Whenever
Mhm.
I cannot provide that level of value, I don't need to be here and I'll remove myself, and I think that is a good agreement.
Mhm. 100%. I love that.
Yeah.
100% because you know that that person is there to provide value, and
Yeah.
to some people listening or just the general population that may sound absurd, right? Now you're there for a paycheck, you're there for an income, whatever the case is, but again, 60 doors. I mean, if you just do like conservative math, Travis has got a good income. You know what I'm saying? So like he obviously is there for that purpose, and is obviously appreciated for sure. But yeah, I would love to know, you know, where do you see this all going from here, especially the coaching business? I feel like that's newer, right? But it has the biggest scaling opportunity outside of real estate.
Yeah. So I've hired some people on the back end because it's not my strong suit. I can't do
Hmm.
all the funnel, this, that, portals.
Smart
Like right
man.
now, it's like emails and text, and like we're talking, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I got people building all that for me on the back end. I want to make it more streamlined so it takes less of my time, but I still want to give them the same output, but
Right.
like less time.
More impact per person.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because I'm having to turn folks away, and I don't want to do that. But I have put an application in place because I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm like, no excuses. I'm neither the right guy or the wrong guy, but this is how I am, for
I
you.
love that. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to just take your money. Like, this is what we're going to do.
Hmm.
So that's how I'd like to scale that business. Real estate, I'm interviewing some folks to hire to help there. I just brought on 2 agents at our dinner actually, so that'll be a cool.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was just like super passive, like, oh, I have my broker's license. Like,
yeah,
set you up. You're good to go.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. So
It's real estate's changed so much. When I was in it, I was part of a 300 home brokerage, right? So uh, it was the guy at the top, right? And he had his buyers agents, and then he had listing agents. You know what I'm saying? So it was very segmented, and we had 300 homes listed at any given time, and out of Corpus Christi, Texas, mind you,
I
that little
love that
market.
market. I love
Yeah,
that market.
no, that market's great. It's one of the strongest rental markets in Texas for sure.
That's where I buy all my rentals.
Really? That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. And so I saw that version of it, which was very much, he's the rainmaker, and then everybody else is kind of like eating on that, right? And it's just different now with the EXP and these companies that have kind of come up. They're really fostering you to run your own business essentially, and you do everything inside the business versus paying out this high, agent, what is it, split fee,
Yeah.
and expecting them to do it for you.
Yeah. So my next big move
Hmm.
is I'm gonna buy a 100+ unit mobile home park because I've been buying the small like 20s and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I heard a post the other day, but I met like this like 90-year-old investor on a cold call.
I
He's like,
read that.
yeah,
That was such a great post.
he's
Yeah.
legit, dude. Like I always call like these parks. That's where I found all my private lenders
Hmm.
from cold calling a park. I got
Yeah.
a $800,000 listing today because I cold called the dude that owned a park.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I don't want to sell it to you, but I got another one I want you to sell for me." I'm like, "Cool, you know, done."
And
But
you know the game.
I
You're
know the
not
game.
just
I was like,
some random realtor with a license.
I was like, "Look, bro," I said, "I'm a buyer first, and I'm a broker second. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
you an offer. Don't get pissed at me. I'm gonna tell you what you get." Yeah, I was like, "Just heads up, it's gonna be half of what we're gonna list it for retail."
Yeah.
I was like, "You give me one or two. We close with this number, or I list for this number." And he liked it. He's like, "Yeah, dude, that's cool. All right, let's list it. I'm not taking your number." But that's my next big game, man. I want to get into like having the really big mobile home parks. I see a lot of huge wealth being built there
Hmm.
in real estate. Like if you look at a bunch of big names right now, they're going towards that direction.
Hmm.
Think about it. So like you can for $100,000, you could buy 10 mobile homes, or you could buy one house. It's just an analogy, but
Right. Right.
yeah,
No, 100%. You know what's funny is, and I'm gonna make this connection now, and hopefully it works out for you. But um, my my old boss, who I bought my business from, that's what he does now. But he does another one on top of that. So he's got a dealership, a mobile home dealership, right? And then he's
yeah,
got the park next to it, and then he's got several parks throughout the coastal bend. So he may be somebody that you want to connect with, whether it's just to get that industry experience or to do the same thing you just did with your other guy. Like,
yeah.
hey, I'll list it for you.
That'd be huge, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get my dealer's license next too. So
Oh,
that's cool.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's he's coming from sales, anyways, I won't put all his business out there, but you guys can connect, and hopefully it's good contact for you.
cool, man. No, thank you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So the last question I always love to ask is, what does legacy mean to you, and what legacy do you want to leave behind?
So there's actually um, legacy property and real estate,
Okay.
right? So legacy property being, and actually this was on a call I was on the other night, and it's been on my mind ever since. They're like, you start in a single family, you go multi, you go this, you work yourself up to a legacy property that could feed your family and their family and their family, like for a long time, for generations.
Hmm.
So I think that would be amazing to build something like that that can not only support me comfortably, but that can support generations of me down the road if it needed to be, you
Hmm.
know. So that's really important to me. A name is probably the second uh,
Hmm.
biggest thing, right? Like you never, or personally, I don't ever want like any bad things to be associated with my name. So I always like to clear that up. So that's like uh, something super important to me.
No,
So
that makes a lot of
it's my
sense.
two things, man.
100%. No, that's one thing that I'm looking at a lot. It's probably not going to be an income producing property. It's probably going to be like a hobby farm, but a sustainable farm. It's
Yeah,
more of a safe haven for my family or my kids or grandkids or whatever the case is. Not Yellowstone level, but
yeah,
300 and 340 acres is what I'm looking at right now. 1.9 million, about 5,000 an acre, and it's a mile from my current house.
that's
And then
awesome.
there's three other properties that are a mile from that, that are all over 80 to 200 acres. And it just tripped me out because I'm thinking about the small town of Divine. I want to keep my kids in the school district, and I'm like, there's no way there's 100-acre property around here. It's just too big. There's too many 3-acre properties going up or getting sliced up or whatever from bigger properties. And sure enough, I finally, I was just at church one day, and I got the download, you know what I mean? Hey, look up the freaking properties, dummy, you know?
Yeah,
And sure enough, a mile down the road was like the most ideal property that I've seen. And it's not cultivated at all. Like it's totally raw, you know what I mean? And so it's exciting to like, all right, I have my sights on it now. I know what I need to put together. I need to find the owner, kind of befriend them a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Start working that deal, you know?
You know, I've sold a lot of land in Divine. As well.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Well, that's right. You
friends.
have a property in Divine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a mobile home park, and I've got a tiny home park and a mobile home park in Divine. I love that area.
That's awesome.
And
Well, if you ever have an issue or something like that, give me a call and I'll go check it out.
heck yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm friends with one of the biggest land dealers in Texas, and one of his key areas is Divine. Is what's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just me that thinks it's like,
No.
awesome.
Yeah, it's a good
Awesome.
area.
I'm excited about that. Well, that also means I need to make that happen like in the next 12 months or I'm going to miss the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that area a lot.
Yeah, it's nice because, you know, I do have a 40-minute drive to work, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's worth it living out there. And the sunsets are just amazing. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, brother, I really appreciate you coming on the show, giving a lot of value. You know, a lot of what you're doing right now embodies a great leader. And that's why I always like having guys like you on the show. It gives us a different perspective. You know, it's not all about sales all the time. And so I appreciate you coming on, sharing that value. If somebody wants to reach out, coaching, real estate, any of that stuff, how do they do that?
Instagram's Travis Clay Wells, Facebook's Travis Wells. I'm usually on there every day. Facebook.
All right. So fantastic. We'll drop the links here. And until then, let's get building.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Building Great Sales Teams. We appreciate it. Be sure to execute on everything that you just heard, and let's get building. Before we sign off, we'd like to invite you to join our Brickyard community. Head on over to jointhebrickyard.com. Again, that's jointhebrickyard.com, or click the link in the description to find out more.